still, to look at how we might be able to create some walking and active transportation, biking. Worked with the bike group before to really provide some walking trails and paths that might be within neighborhoods or communities that are not maybe necessarily those that could get out to a white pine trail or to maybe 10 miles out. So in other words, trying to put some activity and some walkways and pathways within communities and neighborhoods that maybe are not as well funded, if you will. We see a lot of low income and maybe rental housing and some of those sorts of issues that maybe don't allow for everyone to have the same playing field in terms of getting out, being active, biking, etc. So we work with a lot of groups that are trying to incorporate equity along all of those activity areas, connecting to our parks and our natural resources, and really trying to kind of equal the playing field.
All right, thanks, Jill. And I do want to encourage folks that are working on funding and building out their trails that partnering with your public health organizations is huge in terms of moving your projects forward. David, I wanted to ask you about regionality and how Grand Rapids is affecting the region and what you're seeing in terms of collaboration in the area.
Well, it's very kind of you to suggest that Grand Rapids is affecting the region. I like to think about it a little bit differently because honestly, I'm humbled to be at this table with all of these partners and all of you in this room tonight because I feel like a lot of the good work that is happening outside of Grand Rapids right now. So I like to believe a little bit that that's the influence that we've got. But from the perspective of the city, being one of the second largest cities in the state of Michigan, John Morrison and I had the honor of jointly cutting a ribbon on a nearly 1 mile section of trail last summer behind the Coldwater Creek building in downtown Grand Rapids. And this was a significant step for us from that regional perspective because it is really one of the last segments with only one remaining for us to fully connect from the south side of our city all the way up through Riverside Park on the north side of our city for a complete connection to the White Pine Trail, which is that regional connection. And so I think once we get those segments completed, it allows really other partners in Ottawa County and other partners in the room here tonight to begin, I think, formulating their own storyline for the development of other trail connections that then feed into that trail connectivity through the city of Grand Rapids and on to the White Pine Trail. And so we're very excited about that.
All right. Thanks, David. Brian, I wanted to ask you, municipal planning organizations, many of you know, deal with all forms of transportation. And I'd like you to talk a little bit about why trails have become such an important part of the overall picture for West Michigan.
Sure. And keep in mind, my perspective is coming from Muskegon County. We cover Muskegon County in northern Iowa. Obviously, there's a lot going on in Kent County, Grand Rapids area, and in southern Iowa County. But for us, it's kind of been a struggle because the people I work with look at highways. They want the highways, transit, but it's primarily highways, and there has been a kind of culture shift with that. And I have to admit that Tom Anderson is our policy, or was our policy chairperson for about 12 years. I think when Tom came on board, maybe that shift started changing, maybe a little influence there, but I just think, the obvious answer is West Michigan, as you all know. It's beautiful. We have vast beauty. The non-motorized element is just, it's there. I think the culture shift is happening. People are finding more unique ways to find trails and to expand that network. So it's exciting. Muskegon County is kind of behind, I would say, some of the things going on around us. But I think we're starting to see that. I'm seeing people that I work with from municipalities, engineers, actually looking at this differently. They weren't thinking trails 10, 15 years ago, and now these guys are bringing projects to us and saying, let's do this.
Thanks, Brian. And I do want to say that Rails to Trails Conservancy has had a long relationship with Michigan, very close partners with John in West Michigan, Trails and Greenways. And in particular, one of the best practices we share out of Michigan is many of the local levies that are being passed, in particular, to build out the White Pine Trail. And it's something that we're seeing a lot of success in other Midwestern states with, and I agree, these are really exciting times. So, Aaron, I'm going to ask you about funding, and I know that the county parks levy is a huge tool in your belt, and I would like you to talk a little bit about how you use trails to promote that support of what you do.
Yeah, first I want to say that Matt called me a big picture thinker, and one inspiration I got from this panel is, we know that trails and being outside is good for your physical and mental health. But I think having Dave and Jill on the same panel, we should start our trails and hops for health and happiness. So, promotional campaign, for every 10 miles you bike, you should get yourself a beer. I think that could be really forward-thinking and innovative. But
all trails lead to beer.
Yes, exactly. So, as far as trails in our, we have a 0.33 mil operating maintenance millage for the county parks. And we first got it in 1996 and had it approved twice after that, each time with a higher success rate. The last one was 72%. So we have a high level of approval on it from the trail planning and the Greenway vision has been a big part of the plan for the parks for that time. But I think as far as, that being that level of success, really it's been more about the success of having beautiful parks, having Lake Michigan access. We're right on Lake Michigan, so we're lucky. And another thing I would recommend is to have a 20-acre dog park. People love big dog parks, so if you want to be popular, that's another thing. But working on, we have a vision for 3 different Greenway trails, with 2 being paved trails on Grand River, Pigeon River, and Macatawa River. And then, the Grand River plan has been there since 1989, and it took a lot of land acquisitions, taken a lot of blood, sweat, tears. And unfortunately, I think it's still a little abstract to people, and it's one of the West Michigan's best kept secrets, the land we have. I don't know how many of you have been to Grand Ravines, our kind of our premier park, but many have not, and you'd be surprised that we have this. It's right south of Grand Valley. I recommend it. One thing I would mention that is that shows the possibility of our trail. I think for us in the future, I think we're taking a leap of faith that when it's done, like the Grand River or the Item Explorers Trail, that it will, will be even more successful in the future, and people will really be surprised about how much beauty there is out there, and what a great asset we have in West Michigan in the Grand River, and then connecting that to Grand Rapids.
Great. And Aaron, to keep it simple, I'm going to ask your other question, which is, can you tell us what you think is the biggest challenge facing your regional trail network?
Yeah, this is one I talked about a lot in the anecdote that I've told a few people before, but for me, it's probably wayfinding. And maybe you were talking about in Germany how, and I think John's mentioned this in the Netherlands, to have this system really click is people have to know where they're going and what's in store and how far they've gone. And right now it's pretty rudimentary on a regional scale, and there's not, I think some trails have it, but it's not, we're not working together enough on it. It's starting. Another part of that is, the wayfinding can help create an experience. I've been on some trails where it's like a regional trail, and you have no idea that it's different than any pathway along the side of a road. So it doesn't feel any different, and we really need to step it up to give people that sense of experience. But my anecdote is we walk our dog a lot on the North Bank Trail, and ran into a kid on his bike. He had a bunch of papers in his hand. He stopped us. He said, I'm biking. I biked here from Holland. Can you help me get to the Hart Montague Trail? So the Hart Montague Trail, from Holland, it's a nice long ride. The North Bank Trail goes east-west, and we're from Holland, the Hart Montague Trail, you have to go through Muskegon on north to get to it. So he'd gone 3 miles the wrong way, and he printed out his directions on Google Maps. I don't know why I didn't have a phone, but so he had, it's getting later, it was a fall, and so he didn't have much light left before he was getting some tough parts of Muskegon to get through without, crossing the Seaway Drive and stuff like that. And one recommended at 9 o'clock at night in your bike. So that really hit home. Like, he had no idea where he was going, or that he was going completely the wrong way. And if we want people to feel comfortable and excited about our trails, we really need good wayfinding.
All right, thanks, Aaron. And I know John knows this, but remember the federal program of transportation alternatives does fund wayfinding signage. Not everybody wants to get into the federal funding realm, but it is a nod to the importance. All right, Brian, I'm not going to get too creative about mixing it up. So data, it's very important to all public projects. We know that it's key to making the case. And I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about the quality of data that we have for West Michigan trails.
Well, I would say that's maybe part of the problem that we've had in the past, is just that there's not data available. I think John was talking about some of these future efforts to collect some of this data. It's hard to sell something when you can't quantify, that this is going to happen. It's one of those deals where you pretty much have to do it first and show them that it's a success afterwards. So for us, we actually do have trail counters that we purchase, and we've used them a few times. They're kind of interesting. They're not fancy. I would suggest maybe going a little better route if you do purchase those, but it's just like a little infrared eye that picks things up. But it's kind of cool to see. You can tell the movements and the time of day that people are going through. So that kind of stuff is kind of nice. And I think having that to show that these trails are being used, and even if there was someone to show data to show that, I know let's talk about earlier too, the homeowners have always been leery about trails in their backyard, and I think it's been shown time and time again that property values don't go down because of the trails. It actually is the opposite. So I guess my answer is there's not, I don't think there's enough data available right now. I think things are relatively new, and maybe once we get evolving with these connections and the big regional connections, I mean, we still have a lot of gaps where we're at. So once we can close those and find out what this overall state of movement is, it'll be kind of cool to see and have that data to move other trails forward. So.
All right, thanks, Brian. One study done actually in Ohio established that every foot closer to a trail you are, that ups your property value by $1. So 100 feet, $100, you can do the math. All right, David. So what needs to happen to take our trail network to the next level?
I wasn't expecting this.
Really?
Honestly, I think these types of meetings are really important to have these conversations together as partners. What I was indicating to Eric when we had a conversation about this on the phone a little bit is that we really need to be more deliberate about these kinds of meetings on some regular basis with Ottawa County, with the health department, and with other partners, so that we can all understand what priorities are moving forward and when they're moving forward, so that we can coordinate those as best possible. I see some folks here in the room from the city of Grand Rapids that are very deliberate and very good about helping us advance some of those trail segments and funding of those trail components. And that's good for Grand Rapids, but if we're not talking with Ottawa County and the other partners, Kent County, and other municipalities that are close by, I think we might be missing a piece of the puzzle here and falling short of that regional direction that we're all really trying to get to anyway. So deliberate attempt. I know we're all short for time and short for meeting time especially, but I think that's what might need to happen.
All right, thanks, David. Very good words. And I think if nothing else, if you're in the trail world, it involves lots of meetings, which are very important. Jill, can you tell us about health in all policies? How trails are an important piece of that, and how it impacts people in West Michigan?
Absolutely. So a concept that may or may not be familiar is health in all policies. And I was mentioning to Eric that we are working towards health equity, social justice in a number of ways. But as I'm listening to my other panel members here, I'm thinking about education and data and all these sorts of things. And I think awareness is huge in terms of getting the information out so that young man doesn't do that again. That was kind of heart-wrenching. But in terms of looking at how planning, how trails, non-motorized transportation, all of these sorts of things happen, health in all policies looks to create that dynamic of thinking about health and what health outcomes would happen or not happen from perhaps not thinking about the health aspects of a plan or a trail or whatever it might be. So in other words, as we're looking at regionalizing some trails and doing those connections, we might want to think about the health equity piece of it. So, if you're looking at disparities or, low-income individuals that perhaps it's the safety aspects of a neighborhood or a community, that might be one thing. But, looking at or keeping in your mind as you're creating plans to really think about, all right, so, this trail might be specific for a certain population. Maybe think about another population with that in mind. If we make this accessible for all abilities, then we all can utilize these trails and these sort of pathways. So that's just a kind of short glimpse of it. There's a lot more around that. Again, it's a pretty new concept, but we are working on those aspects, and I think that's kind of why I'm here is, if you look at, I'm a non-traditional partner amongst you all, but, from the health perspective, it just makes sense to be active and to be out there and to make the connections with parks and trails. And so, as we are looking at the health aspects and looking at really public health and community health, it's important to think about the health aspects and how to maybe connect some of those other pieces that perhaps you don't think about. Again, just another thing to kind of keep in mind in terms of making that connection for all people.
All right, thanks, Jill. So, Dave, how does your location impact your employees, your customers, your bottom line? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we were, as I mentioned, we consciously located right on the White Pine Trail, and it's been as the economic development guy here, maybe it's been a big part of what we've done. I know I connected with David and the White Pine, the Friends of the White Pine Trail very early on. We sponsor a biking team that uses the trail, obviously. In fact, they were in for their end of the season festivities yesterday. And it was important for us to be able to connect to Beer City and the wider community by serving as a little bit of an oasis on the trail as people do travel. Looking for economic numbers, I can tell you that we're right around 8% of our sales are directly attributed to the trail. And if anybody's familiar with the hospitality industry, your margins are about 1 to 2.5% if you're really lucky. That's significant, and it makes it makes an impact on the bottom line for business development and economic development. We have people that come in off the trail because they're coming to us who've never been to Cedar Springs, and that affects the shop across the street because they wander by there and they go shopping and they've never seen that shop before. I know the city of Cedar Springs, we're working on Trail Town status as well for the North Country Trail, and I think that's a big deal for economic development in our community. And for our brewery friends, we connect regularly. There's, I think there's a new one coming, and I think there's about 8 breweries that are right along the trail here in the West Michigan community. And that's not a bad afternoon to wander by and visit a few of these folks. I know the wayfaring, which we've mentioned a couple of times. I sit on the DDA in our community as well, and it's been an issue that we've been continuing to work on, and that helps just to have a sign that says you're in Cedar Springs, you're in Rockford, you're in Comstock Park, here's the business community, go that way. And that business community in turn, as they see those kind of results and activities, it's a lot easier to ask them for money. So this stuff goes hand in hand, and I think that's really important. I mean, we have signs on the highway, and if we're using these as transportation, we need to have signs on the trail as well, so you're not heading in the wrong way, or the wrong direction if you're looking for the trail. But there's some semi-hard numbers for you that you can use, and I think, I guess I'm the only one that can hear that's not part of the public world in some way, but yeah, we all can be on the same team, but those are the things that are going to resonate with my community. So.
Yeah, thank you, and great to end on in these questions on that note about collaboration. Trails certainly mean business, and I did want to mention that line I gave about all trails need a beer. I stole from one of our partners at the National Park Service, who did a presentation about just that, and Michigan was well represented. So I did want to leave a few minutes for questions. Do we have any? I see one right there.
What in the past has been the partnership or collaboration, and what might be planned for the future with West Michigan Trails and the National North Country Trail?
Well, I think we have a few folks from our community building development team here that might be able to answer that a little more fully, that are working on that directly. Formally we don't. I go to meetings and help out where I can, but I think those are some of the synergies that can promote activity and promote growth in a lot of these systems. And we're kind of unique. I mean, Cedar Springs is historically a rail town crossing city, and now we have this opportunity to be a trail town crossing city with the North Country and the White Pine both intersecting there in Traverse City, Cedar Springs. So that's kind of neat, and I know that the team is working on that. So.
All right, thanks. I think we might have time for 2 more questions. Was that a question? Oh yeah, right here. How far off the trail is the brewery?
How far off the trail is the brewery? If you miss it, you ran into a tree or something. So we're, if you know where the DNR lot is in Cedar Springs, the trailhead, I mean, we literally are on the other side of that. Again, there's no sign there, but we have one that definitely faces, our beer garden faces the trail, and the development team that we just mentioned is working on an outdoor amphitheater that would be right there on the trail. It's going to be beautiful. But it's right there, and what we're trying to work with through both of our Chamber of Commerce and the DDA is to really make that an entryway into the town and bring people off the trail, because that is how we're going to create economic development. It's not just about us, but I mean, there's shops up and down Main Street that people just would never ever see if they were just biking up and down the trail. And it is nice in the West Michigan community. People are conscious of breweries, and that's how they contribute to economic development. People seek those out, but in the course of doing that, it's very easy to turn the corner and to see the business next door and patronize them as well. So.
All right. Any other questions? Okay, take that last question in the back.
This one's for Brian. So going back to your counters, can local friends groups and municipalities use them to get data for you and for them
need to have something that's really rogue. We just mount them to like a telephone pole or something. So there's some dynamics with it. If it's facing a road, it'll pick cars up, so you've got to just be kind of creative. But the answer is yes. You can go on our website and on the transportation section on winterdick.org, there's a section that talks about the trail counters. And anybody is more than welcome to use them. We'll help you set them up and get the data collected, bring a laptop up there and do that for you. So yes.
All right, that is awesome. And I just want to say, we had a lot of other questions, but not the time to cover them, so I would encourage you during the dessert and networking to pull these folks aside because they've got a lot more to talk about. So let's give a round of applause to our awesome panel. Thank you. All right, I'll hand it over to closing remarks.